So now that we're in our database or our server, our database will be in here as well, and you'll see that you'll have a data set, but there will be no tables associated with it. And we're going to create some tables. And as you can tell, there's no tables associated with this. Now you can right click, and this is just for you to learn. If you're a beginner, you can go in here and do it the manual way, where you create the column name, right? This would be your table name, right? So let's say this was called Cloud Alerts, which I would name, and then you'll put in all of your ID systems or your column names. So if we call this Cloud Security Alerts, we'll put Cloud Alert ID, we'll put resource name. So just to give you one example, you'll always have an integer first. And if you're an aspiring cloud engineer, this is kind of where it will lead to towards the end of all of our tutorials, but I kind of want to just start off with working in SQL to kind of see how all this connects together. So then we'll call this an integer, and then down here we'll have all of our characters. So we will have like resource name, enter, alert name, severity. What else is there? And this is what AI can't. I mean, this is where you got to be kind of creative and thinking of like what things are, what column names they will be utilized within cloud. But this is just for learning purposes for the video. But then you'll go down here, and then you probably can say, I would probably just put 50 just to be safe on all of them. But you can put 50 for all of them, and then this will be your I don't know, let me do this. $50, and you can go on so on and so forth. And then what you do is you can right click it and click save, and then you can just name this table Cloud Alerts. Alright, and then we didn't insert no values or nothing, but once you do that, it'll spin. And for purposes of this video, I just did something quick right here. Alright, or you can do it the other way, where you put in the code, or you can get your code if you have GitHub, and I'll make it available if you want to use it. But let's go ahead and delete this one. And of course, there's no values in there because this is like a create statement. So I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's delete this. So remember, we're starting off fresh. Let's close this out. So again, our tables, we don't have no tables in here. So let's just do new query. And we'll go back to this. So you can also do it like this. And if you don't know what this, so create table, there's a bunch of videos out there if you like new to SQL or trying to get into tech and trying to learn. If you don't, but for anybody that's intermediate or advanced, you can continue watching. So you click IT. And we just do 1-to-1. And then you always make the first one the primary key. And then that's where, so this was the table name. And then you have this as your ID, your identifier, and everything else will come down to it. So we'll call this resource. And all of this is for, we're doing alerts for cybersecurity. So if you're trying to break into cybersecurity, cloud engineering, this is kind of things you'll do on the job. And then also, and so all this that I'm doing, you could probably use some type of AI. A lot of advanced companies have AI Copilot associated with it. So, but you still have to know the basic, the foundation of all this. And you probably wouldn't be doing this unless you're a database administrator. If you're a data engineer, you're probably going to be just looking at data and fixing it, because they're probably going to have all of their tables already in, and they're going to have all of their tools and systems connected to the CDW, or say cyber data warehouse. So it's about just knowing how to connect it to an ETL or converting everything that are CSV files and doing everything that's manual automatically through ETL. But let's call this the same thing, bar. So it's always good to learn from a senior engineer or a senior DE or anybody that has more experience than you, and also people that don't have as much experience as you, but they may have more knowledge in this area. So, because no one is perfect. This would be all tables. You can do the same thing, and then I didn't put. Let's do regions date, region, and detection date. So this is the second way of doing it. Then let's just put this in here. And I like to make the code nice and clean and look consistent. And then go up here. Yeah. Primary key. Let's capitalize that. And then always close out with parentheses, semicolon, and then open it up right here. Let's put an insole in. And you make it look more cleaner. And we can even put up here. You don't have to do it like this, but this is just preferably I would just makes it look simpler. Especially if you got a lot of tables to create, you can just create this and then put that there and then run it and then execute. There you go. So I just showed you how to. If I went too fast, there's a lot of videos out there you can watch, but for purposes of this video, we're gonna. I don't want to sit here and create all of this, so I'm gonna insert 10 tables. And the good thing is, if you want, you can get it from my GitHub, and I can also show you how to. You can also connect it or do it manually. So let's just get rid of this table, just so we can have a fresh start. So. And then you can also do insert with the value. So let's go to GitHub. And I'll make this public if you need it. And there's plenty of videos on how to create a GitHub. How to download SQL Server Studio, there's a lot of how-to videos on like the baseline. I'm just showing on a integrate high level of like things that you would do in a workplace, but this is like my personal projects that just want to show. And you could do this with any type of data. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be. I mean, if you want to work on analyzing NFL data analytics or analyzing hotel sales in a particular season, there's different data sets and points you can use, but we're just using cyber because I come from a cyber background. So once you can build a repository. There's a lot of videos on how to build a repository, but if we go in here on my demo, I have an example and it's public. It should be public at least. So if you go in here, you can just use what I have, or let me use I'd rather use the other one. You could create multiple repositories, and you can use forks, and you can also import them in, or no, it was the other one. Let me go back. So we go in here, and then this is public. So if you put in if you look me up, or if you just use this URL code, it'll take you straight to my repository. So this is what we were talking about earlier. Some of the code I written up, but this was the alerts that we were talking about, the cloud alerts. And then if you create insert cloud alert values, that'll come up. So there's plenty of different ways you can insert your GitHub code. You can either, get the raw copy a raw file, or get the raw file. Right? You can get the raw file like this, or you could just simply cut and paste, or you can connect it through strings and connect it to a repository. But for purposes of this video, we're just going to copy it here and put it in here. And this logic, essentially, if you don't understand, so these are all of our tables, and these are all different types of alerts that I'll just working in cyber for a good minute now. These are like common cyber alerts, especially working in the cloud. These are and then these are the insert values for each one of these columns. So you have email alerts. Let's find something that makes sense. So yeah, so for email alerts, you know, there may be a phishing email, something at fake.com, or you may have suspicious forwarding rules. This is basically if you look at this and you look here, it'll tell you the severity, and before the severity, the alert name. So these are the different alert types. And then cloud alert, the different types, the severity, all right? And we're gonna put this in Power BI in a later future video, but I just want to show you all of this. So let's go in here and execute this all. So now we have all 10 tables in. So remember, you can create tables manually by doing right click, new table, or you can do right click, new external table and write it out, or you can do all your code writing in GitHub, but it's probably easier just to do right click and external. But I didn't want to sit here and write all of this out manually since I already kind of did it already. So you can click that, and then if you click tables, remember you have to refresh it. There you go, you have all of your tables. And before, if you only created a table, you wouldn't have rows associated with it. So rows are essentially all of this. This is your row tables. So this is like your actual tables that you want to look. Now if you want to query some information, you can let's say you just want to query, and this one it goes back to knowing SQL and stuff. The basic stuff is like, you know, you want to select let's say you want to, but sometimes you may not know what's in those tables, so it's always good to, if you want to first, like let's say we want to select all. This is asterisk all from network alerts. Right, so here it is. So as you can tell, network alerts, but right, so we're using, this is the source destination IP. So this is our data set right here, just for this. Now you can also do select statements where you only want to pick these rows. So you do select, and then you could do distinct network alert ID, source IP, and destination IP, right? And if you don't know what columns are associated with the table, you can always just simply go in here when you're trying to learn, especially if you working for a company and you don't know what their data, you got in the beginning, you got to learn like all of their data sets and tables. You could just do select the first 1000, and it'll just query everything associated with this. So it'll pull all the column names. Now you could have just done select. There's different ways to do it. You could do select and then put the asterisk, but here's all the values for this. Here's all the values for cloud alert. So now that we have our database, or we have our server and our database and our values inputted, now we have a repository with all of the inserts in it, right? So, and then there's different ways. If you don't want to go to GitHub and get it, you can also go here and type in git repository. All right, there's different ways to do it, but I don't want to mess up my go down here, or close this out first, and then click new, you go to repository, new, and then you can just put your GitHub URL, or you can just get it straight from Azure if you did it the other way around. So this is just different ways to do it. There's plenty of videos out there to show you how to do that. And in the next video, we'll talk about what we can do with this data and how we can create visualizations with this data, and some cool things you can do. But now that we got all of our cyber alerts data set inputted, and we got all of our, let's go here and just review all of them. So this is when we created the tables. and values, and this is us querying the different not columns but tables. So we're querying all the different type of tables. So you can just, if you want to select the top, 1,000 rows, and I kept all of my inserts into very simple, but people will build on. So most of the time, unless you're working for a startup and you have to do things completely from scratch, which would be tough, it would probably be like this. But if you're working for a big organization, they already have their baseline set. If anything, you'll probably be going in cleaning up the data or cleaning up all the nulls, or if you're passionate about being a database administrator. But in this scenario, we're going to show you dashboards, the stuff that's actually useful, right, for executive reporting, and connect all this together. So if we go back to go back to our sample data set, I'll show you how to, there's different things you can do. You can do metrics in here, but I'm going to show you how to do this all in Power BI and have nice cool charts and stuff. And also I will show you how to, let's say if I want to do an inner join, outer join, or insert a spreadsheet or insert a new table, because these are all tables. So let's say I want to insert a table from a spreadsheet. Just think about one spreadsheet as a table, and all the columns in it are the values. Each column name would be the, from there we'll insert. Thank you for watching this, and stay tuned and watch the next video.